bucks. I've got my legs. They've worked fine my whole life.
Look at it go!
Why would I need a round rock to move stuff? Seems like more trouble than it's worth.
Machines printing words. Blasphemous. What's wrong with copying books by hand? Builds character.
Automobile? No thanks. Thing's loud, dangerous, and smells like trouble. My horse knows where he's going.
Email? Why would I want to send a message through a computer? Nothing beats a real letter.
Bitcoin? Magical digital money? It's not backed by anything. No thanks. I'll stick to my precious fiat dollars. They're not going anywhere.
The year, I still have the old guy here. Gee, I didn't really bargain for that happening. There it is. and the smoke, all right. The year is 2017. Bitcoin has just experienced 5 weeks. Where's that measurement? I hit the measurement. 5 weeks of a blistering 235% upside. It's called a bull run. And as everyone FOMOs in, euphoria takes place. The market turns, and we see a downfall of 50% to the downside. Yeah. And then now, people become a little bit nervous. Is this the bull run? Is the bull run over? Then we fight all the way back. All the way back. Then we get to the 38.2% fib. We throw a last-ditch Hail Mary wick above her, but ultimately close below her. From there, we cascade down. Let's just draw this out. There you go, bottom. 38.2. And then that's all she wrote. Now, I've done this before, but this is the most important metric of any bull run. Humble opinion of this piano. Now, the year is 2021. Let's get this. And the bull market has just experienced about 8 weeks of a blistering 70% upside. 70% in roughly the same amount of weeks, 7 weeks. And then what happens? The market is frothy. 69K can't be the peak. We were promised 100K. Weren't we? It's 100K. Everyone on the interwebs was saying 100K. Our trusted crypto content creators were saying 100K. But the market took a downturn. And we saw a 50% downside. And then we are all wondering, is this the end? Well, we saw it back here, right? It can't be the end. We've been here before and we've come back. And the price, well, she did come back a bit. How much did she come back? Well, from this bottom, we made it all the way up to the 38.2% fib. Almost. But not quite. These little tricks here, making use of this rodecaster. I barely use anything of it. And from there, of course, my friends, we sailed into crypto winter oblivia. Now, the year is 2025. We are in what some legacy analysts call borrowed time as far as the length of the bull market goes. And so we've had, well, let's call it a 5-week pump, maybe of 17%. Nothing to write home about. I mean, in fact, most people are sound asleep during this bull market 17% pump, and I don't blame them for not getting up for 17%. And then, as we are starting to get excited, a little bit of FOMO, the market turned. And then we saw a 18% rejection. Essentially, everything in the past 5 weeks, we basically gave back, and then some, a little bit. Now, according to the old system, the 2021, 2017, after a monumental dump, which I wouldn't necessarily call this, more on that later. If we were to run this same bingo, bango, bongo schedule of a leg down and then a leg up to the 38.2% fib, only to get rejected at 117, well, history, if it means anything to anybody, would say that there's a high probability of that rejection coasting into crypto market oblivion. Now, we haven't hit 117 yet, and we haven't, come on. This is like, okay, I'll have to go back here. Holy smokes. Okay, get rid of that. That thing's more trouble than it's worth, is what I would write a letter to TradingView. Anyway, another and more important metric as far as this piano is concerned is this 50 moving average right here. This is another telltale sign of perhaps, based on historic fractals, once we close underneath this 50 moving average, which is currently at 102. Currently at 102. That's this ping pong thing still doing here. Get rid of it. That is another indicator that the bull market might be over. But we're not there yet. So that signal hasn't flared. So it's funny, in this bull run, the only thing that might end up saying we are out of the bull run is the bearish aspects of it, because we're not really firing on any bullish aspects. You know, the myriad of on-chain data that usually says we're screaming, it's just a screaming top. You know, everything's overbought and everyone's going crazy. We're not really experiencing that. So all we have to go on is, we're like flying a bullish plane, but we're in a bullish fog now. So we got to rely on the instruments to land this properly. And in order to land this properly, the only signals we're getting on our dashboard is potential bearish signals. Just going to go ahead and grab this cup of coffee. Now, the reason why this 50 moving average is an interesting signal is that if we go back to 2021, let's see what happened. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Make her bigger. Okay, you can see here on our first dump, remember we had a double top back then, we found support through a wick, even closed once. We closed, we're going to get rid of this red arrow. We closed once just by the hair of our chinny chin. We closed there. The next candle, we, had a pump. Let's see what this recovery pump was. 10% recovery pump. So we're back in business. We're back on. Bullish oppose on. 10%. That's a big deal. Imagine 10% now is, $11,000 a week. Not bad. Now, we found that support, and even back here when we had this little 15% dump. Remember this one? No one even cared about it. 15%. We're like, 15%? What? I got up for 15%. What? And then we found that support. Well, probably around the 20 moving average rather than the 50, but we got it. We bounced off. And then you see this. Our first weekly close underneath. Hella underneath, I might say. Oh, sorry. That's the 20 moving average. This is just the wick. We threw a Hail Mary wick all the way past the 50 moving average, but we fought back. Bullish bull run still on. Hey, we're still good here. We're still good. Following week, we closed below. That's not good. I remember someone saying that if we close below, that's not good. And then the next week, we go up again. Bull runs on. It was a fake out to the downside. Then we get that second weekly close underneath the 50 moving average. And despite another retest up here, months later, 1, 2, almost 3 months later. So we're in 3 months of denial right here. And then we get here and that's it. That was it. Closing under that 50 moving average on the weekly is just a signal you want to keep in your back of your head. Let's go check it out in 2017. Okay, let's make this nice and big for everybody. Okay, similar structure. We are in denial. We get denied from the 38.2% fib. A whole month of downward action, month and a half. And we find that support at the 50 moving average. And then we have what some legacy analysts would call a hell of a green candle. 30%. Now, you can imagine how blue your bullish balls would be at a 30% candle after 5 weeks of complete bearishness. 30% candle. Bull runs back on, boys. Bull runs back on. I can feel it. Bull runs back on. And then we continued upside. And then we get our first candle, which is, what is this, 2 months? Another, again, 3 months from, the rejection of the 38.2% fib. This is deep kind of astrology for men, but we're just going over this here as historic indicators and historic safety levels. We don't close the candle underneath the 50. Bull runs back on, boys. Bull runs back on. Not only do we not see a close underneath the 50, we have what some legacy analysts would still call a month of complete bullishness. 40% upside. 40%. Think about that in today's terms. It'd be like $44,000 gain. No one would be saying the bull run's over, folks. After 1 month of 40% gains, we're back in it, boys. We're back in it. Get the band together. We're doing another album. And of course, we see a downturn. Now, this downturn's, let's see, from peak to 25%. We haven't seen a 25% one. And we are too fragile now in this bull run. We wouldn't even know what to do with ourselves. You can imagine people just jumping off the bridge at this point. But then we get our first close underneath the 50 moving average. Fight back, can't get above. And then further downside, under the 50 moving average. Now we're a month underneath the 50. At this point, we're in mass denial if we're thinking anything's going to happen with this bull run, because remember, we're still from the peak, we're down 70%. But these are the days where 70% was almost nothing too. I mean, it might not be something, but it sure ain't nothing. But like 70% now is our bear market. We make a run. We get almost above the 20 moving average, rejected. Then we close again. And from that point on, even though we had another test, it was all she wrote for the 2017. Now, that's what happened in the last 2 data points. Different time, different money, different psychology of the retail trader. That retail trader, perhaps one might argue, no longer exists. Where am I here? Back to 2020. Back to reality. Back to the future. So here we are. Have we closed underneath the 50 moving average? No. We just threw a Hail Mary wick down there. That's it. That's nothing. That's nothing. No cause for alarm. Now, the day will come, perhaps, where we close underneath that 50 moving average. Now, could it be 3 months from this local top like it was in 2021, 2017? 3 months? That would put us in November, December, January 2026. And people would be saying this time's different. 2026, I think we're in a bull run extension. God damn it, we're in a bull run extension. Are we? I don't know. The thing is about this 2026 Xanadu dream is that there are some bullish aspects. Jerry Pow leaving. I mean, that's a hell of a bullish metric. Where's Jerry Pow? I had him here. I guess I don't. There he is. Jerry Pow. He will be gone. He will exit the building April 1st, April Fool's Day, something like that. Something like that. That will be a very bullish aspect for 2026 because I'm assuming Trump will bring in kind of an economic yes man of sorts, and he'll do whatever he says for as long as Trump's in power. That's why he got the job, right? He's not going to get the job and then, go against them. Political suicide, they would call it. It could happen, but we probably know he's going to put in a good buddy. And then interest rates will drop, money will become free, and then maybe the money printer just goes forever, I suppose. Until inflation becomes so crazy that only those invested in hard assets like Bitcoin will survive. That's what could happen. Now, today also, Jerome Pow, he's sneaking back into his office, right, with the 200 PhDs, economic PhDs, in Keynesian economics, mind you, so who cares? Sneaking back in, getting the CPI don't care, government's basket of lies to tell us what inflation is or isn't, and what the joblessness is or isn't. All of lies, right? So, although it is mega dad rules, right? So these mega dad rules still rock the market because we're almost like a bunch of kids who haven't seen their dad in a long time. It's like, Dad, just tell me anything. Tell me anything. Okay, please just tell me anything. And then Dad says, inflation's down. Holy shit. Market goes wild. Inflation's up. Hey. What does that mean? Well, if the past couple months are anything, it all could change on a dime here. We are in that last phase historically. Could change on a dime. But sometimes we get a little bit of a pump and then we get slammed in the face again. That's what we've been seeing lately. If we go down to the noisy little so-and-so, the 4-hour chart here. Look at that. Rejected. Wick rejected from the 61.8% fib, the goldenest of golden ratios. This is a nice week, a nice couple days. We were right here yesterday on Discover Crypto watching the most boring news circle jerk I think I've ever seen. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it's like I'm more tuned in now to Fed meetings, FOMC bullshit, all these Trump. To me, they're like my entertainment. It's almost like I used to watch the Oscars religiously, right? Now I religiously watch these stupid meetings. I can't wait. Grab my coffee. I'm waiting for it. It's always late. It's like, man, are these guys taking a page from Ben Armstrong? These guys are always late. Anyway, and they're always disappointing, right? Because we're sitting there just pleading, begging, just say Bitcoin. Just say Bitcoin. All we need to hear is Bitcoin wants. He said it, right? Probably nothing would happen, but we're all kind of waiting for these things. I never thought that I would be watching this as entertainment, but to a certain degree, that's all it really ever is. And maybe I don't remember it because, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Biden administration didn't do these things? Is that something? Or maybe I was just so tuned out politically from the kabuki theater of it all and the choke point 8.6 and all the negative bearishness. I couldn't handle it because remember we were talking about the planned helplessness that we see kind of growing. We see it every day. All you got to do is go on Twitter. It's just endless planned helplessness. And you see a lot of smart people, giving suggestions to a lot of dumb people. So the dumb people are in charge. And then you have a lot of smart people saying, hey, why don't you just do this? It's like, it's not like a logical argument where you can find a logical answer to these things. These things are there to make you feel helpless, because that's that dark frequency that they mine. Oh yeah, they can't even figure out how stupid this is. Perfect, mine it. It's a dark frequency. They love it. And the more helpless you are, the more powerful they become. What's the answer? I don't know. Revolution, I suppose. But at what point is there enough testosterone in the system to even have a revolution? I don't know. Maybe that was. Can you imagine the long game? The crazy part about this is that, our concept of time and exponential growth, right? They're two of our blindside weaknesses. But these people, we kind of run our lives right now, at least for the past little while, in a 4-year cycle, right? We kind of understand where things might be in 4 years and where they were 4 years from now, just because of Bitcoin. But these psychopaths and the concentric circle of power and money, they run in 4-year turnings. You've heard the fourth turning and everything. That's the timeline they're on. So, in, let's say, 10 or 15 years, when we're back to the first turning, the people that are planning the next 100 years, they're not planning it for themselves. They know they'll be gone. That's just for their legacy, because these are social engineers. It's like if you grew up in a Formula One race car family, you would end up driving Formula One. I won't. How am I going to get access to this, right? If you're in the social engineering dynasty, you're going to grow up. Look at Soros has this retard kid. Oh, Soros has it. And, he's in the same business. He'll be right there. And people go like, how does a that get to be in charge of the apparatus? It just doesn't make sense. When the only thing that's going against them now is the rise of X and AI. It's a weird little race, right? Because there's a possibility that AI handcuffs to the point where they're not allowed to progress. But that's also a trade-off, right? Because if they're not allowed to do certain things, then normal people aren't allowed to do certain things too. And who knows where the trade-off falls, whether it's better or worse for humanity. I would say that if we can get this kind of oligarchical system out of here, I don't know what the alternative is, because democracy really isn't. And to me, every time I hear democracy, it's a buzzword slogan made to brainwash. You see all the retards. What's against our democracy, right? If you don't do any kind of research on history, all you need to do is hear slogans like democracy, and you're like, oh, I know where we are, right? So you kind of like you're driving in this, confusion. The Super Mario song, when he goes under the thing, comes on. Where am I? I don't understand it. It's above my pay grade. The democracy. I kind of know where we are now. I kind of know. Oh, he said democracy. Oh, I kind of know where that is. I know what that means, kind of, even though I don't, right? Even though it's not really what, the United States was founded on, but I've heard it. I've heard it enough. I kind of know where we are. And that's what happens. I don't even know where I was going with that. Yeah, Druth was supposed to come on today, but he's a busy man. He's a busy man. Like he's taken over Daisy's job while Daisy's honeymooning in Mexico. So he's doing like 3 shows a day. Good for him. Fish, I can say retarded. It's a gimmick, you mother, right? Well, a little spice to the show. I have this thing here, this rodecaster. It was too far out of reach, so I couldn't use all the doohickeys, but there really isn't. There's 3 doohickeys. If I say mother, Uh-oh. If I say mother... No. Uh-oh. Okay, let's see. There it is. I pressed the wrong button. I'm a noob here. I'm a streamer noob. What does this do? Has this one? Low voice. Has this one kind of like a memory voice? And then, of course, the mother. So, yeah. I know. Fish, my title yesterday had the word retard in it. Kind of. You know, it was retard. It cut off the D. You know, just in case someone was wondering if it was going to happen. So let's do some blow some bullish smoke up each other's Adirondacks here. A little economic foreplay, if it were, for this CPI report. Mr. Dinkle says, I really got tired of hearing how young and innocent SBF was at 30 years old. Like, I did add it to broadcast. Why are you asking me? He didn't understand what he was engaged in. You know, to a certain degree, Monsieur Dinkle, he was an asset in the system. You know, so did he know what he was doing 100%? No, I don't think he did. So, like, in the concentric circles of power and money, there's always a patsy, right? We see this in every scenario. They're all in it at the start, and they all have their positions. I would say that SBF knew he would be arrested, but they probably gave him, you know, don't worry about it. You know, you're in Barbados or Bermuda or whatever the hell he was. You know, we'll come there. We'll get you out. Just got to sit tight. It won't be pretty, you know, but hey, we're paying you lots for this. So just sit there. We'll put you in, you know, a nice little wing of the Bermudian prison system. And then we'll come and get you. Don't worry about it. And then, so he's sitting there in Bermuda, but at that point, he's part of executing the patsy, right? So he, in his mind, you know, the reason why they go so far and deep into the scenario and not turncoat is that they, in the back of their mind, they were told what was going to happen. Then, of course, they get betrayed and, you know, he goes to jail. But then who knows, you know, remember, timelines are different for these elite, right? So they're like, listen, you're going to have to spend 2 years in jail. I mean, you're going to celebrity jail. You know, who knows who you'll see there? Maybe P. Diddy might show up there. You know, you're not going to be in the Gen Pop. You're not going to be in Gen Pop. We'll put you in, like, where the celebrities go. 2 years max. Then we're going to get Trump in, and he's going to start, you know, playing ball with us. Now, you might have to do some payback for Trump, you know, like CZ made the Trump family pretty rich. Not saying he did anything, just saying something happened with Binance and those cats. And then all of a sudden he's pardoned. And to think that this isn't the way the system works is just naive. You know, it's a pay-to-play system, just like YouTube, pay-to-play. Same with politics. But you play ball, you grease the right wheels, you know, you're out. That makes me wonder, though, with who was the guy before Ponzi's really got going? The New Yorker, the Jewish guy. You would think that he could have got a sweet deal had he played his cards right. Lasers go pew pew. Boycott Binance. Take all crypto off Binance. Yeah, I don't know how. Bernie Madoff. That's right. Jimmy Coco's Bernie Madoff. I'm surprised he didn't. Maybe he was told. Maybe he's probably in that celebrity prison, right? And he was told, you know, you got to sit tight here. We can't just let you out in 2 years. It's like, well, it's been 4 years. It's like, just sit tight, you know? You know, we're going to have to, you know, $100 million is going to have to come our way. What was that? Nothing. Is that $100 million is going to come? It sounds like you're saying $100 million needs to come your way. Hey, I didn't say that, but listen, if that were to happen, we could expedite this thing a little bit. Who knows? And then he died. So who knows? E-Money, did Martha Stewart do hard time? Or was she in like a Ghislaine Maxwell kind of farm picking flowers and doing yoga? I don't know. Maybe she was. I didn't really care. In fact, the only really thing I care about Martha Stewart is how good she looks at 108. She's been maybe dipping into that adrenochrome a little bit more. But we're talking about our bullish sweet nothings here. Yeah, so it makes sense that unless we're over the 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart, mind you, at 114, we're just basically in the mud here, the bearish mud, trying to get out. Now first off today, I would like to at least close a couple of 4-hour candles above the 61.8% fib for sure. If we don't do that, well, we'll probably just sit here and mince words all weekend long, unless Jerry Papow's dad rules come in and it's just unbelievable pump out of nothing. But see, a lot of people ask, why do we pump and just get immediately swapped down? Because we don't have what I call, real pumps. We have leveraged pumps. So leveraged pumps is like one of those Asian kit cars with the turbo in it, right? It's not going to go forever. And once it's up, it's a useless car, right? It just goes back to being a Ford Neon. Because a lot of these kit cars are just like the most normal car ever. That's why they buy them, and then they pimp them out. So a lot of these pumps are just pimped out leverage. So they're not real. They don't have a lot of market behind them. They just have a lot of froth. And as soon as it gets a little bit tuckered out, well, another kit car Neon comes the other way selling it. So we have this, this cacophony of leverage just kind of blowing each other out. So you don't see that. Now, if we have dad rules today on Jerry Papow's info, yeah, maybe we will get a real pump. But the problem is that you may not like what I'm about to say, but if you trade with leverage, you are the problem. Right? Don't trade with leverage and then wonder why the price doesn't move. It's just what it is. You got to, lock your bags in and just wait for it to go up, rather than these kind of pimped out Dodge Neon kit car turbo. What is it called? The gas they use that zips them through, something like that. One Else Production, like and share to feed the algo for PMB. Yeah, let's get out of this weird shadow band this channel's in. See if you have Nitro. That's right. Dickie Tweeds on the morning stream. Usually you're kind of a lunch timer. Like and share the feed the algo. Let's see if we can pump this channel out of its bear market doomsday. If you have friends that are into crypto, I think that's the main channel or main problem is that a lot of us we're our own kind of crypto Bitcoin shepherds, and we don't really know a lot of people. They think we're the weird ones, right? And so to share them a Bitcoin video, it'd be like, hey, quit it. Unless it's a dog or a cat falling off a toaster with a hot chick with a nice rack, don't send me it. I don't really care. Over on the ding dong. In order, we are officially on day 4 of borrowed time, assuming the top isn't in yet. Now, if the top's in, this is just business as usual, right? Just like down to whatever, 60, 70K in a year from now, roughly, right? But if we do see another pump above 126, we will officially be on borrowed time, which we are now, one might say. So, bar none, we have to get over these two moving averages, which is the same. So the 20 and the 50 on the daily chart is 114 roughly, right? Yeah, 114, which is the 200 moving on the 4-hour chart. So these metrics are lining up. There's no real action. This is just what kind of a dead market will do. It'll just go back and forth on these moving averages, ideally, unless we get up to this channel of Eternal Monotony's resistance at 116.7. Now that is a super important metric. That's how I started this video, which seems like 8 years ago. But 117 is the 38.2% fib over on the weekly. It's that hurdle rate that we got to get over. This is how we reset all these metrics, and we can maybe invalidate this scenario. I would argue that this dump isn't enough for this setup. However, if we don't see violent upturns nor violent downturns, maybe this is, this bull market's violent downturn, so to speak, and then the setup is for real. But so my only caveat for this setup being invalidated is that I don't think the dump is quite enough. 18%, I don't want. Can you imagine 30%? Let's see where 30% is again. Is it 88K from Wick? 30% is 88K. You can imagine 88K. At that point, everyone would be thinking the bear market's in, because we would be under this 50 moving average. So to a certain degree, maybe our simulation is like saying we want to go 30K, but we don't want to close underneath that 50 because we still got some pumping to do. Do you see how my mind's like trying to convince myself that there's an amazing upside to it? So if we were to see that 30% drop from here, that would have been 88K, right? I can't believe I forgot already. And then that would be hella under the 50 moving average. Then we might have to do some hard reconciliation of what's up if we were that. So maybe that's why we didn't get there, because the simulation is like, we can't do that, because then people will think the bull market's over. D. Jenny from the blockchain, the Plan B Rainbow Chart of 2021 is the list of on-chain indicators and retail data like the Coinbase app reaching number 1 of 2000, both valid until they weren't. Right. I think I get what you're saying there. But we don't have any of the upside metrics firing off. In fact, let's see what some of these bad girls are. 32. 32, fear and greed. Outflows yesterday? Yeah, a couple days of outflows. It was very small. Remember, like 20 million outflows. Remember in 2021, 20 million, that would have just rocked the market. Now it's like it doesn't even get a pulse. The day before, 112. So we've had 2 days of outflows. You can see, so these metrics, they're just, nothing's firing off. Maybe that will be the number 2 black swan of this bull run. Number 1, of course, is no retail, right? That is what no one saw coming. And in fact, it would make sense for that to be the inversion that is the black swan, because no one would ever think we'd be at 100K or above, and no one would care. If you would have told me that 2021, we're gonna get over 100K. Oh yeah, but no one will care. It's like, what? Why wouldn't nobody care? It's over 100K. There's a bunch of reasons why nobody cares. But look at that. We are getting a hardcore denial right here. We lost 111. Now, this is what I'd like to see before we get on with our life here. I'm more of a fan of when these announcements come back. I like to go the other way before the announcement. So if we continue some bearish action, maybe even down to this 20 moving average at 109, and then it comes out, or has it come out yet? Was it 8:30? It comes out. Have we seen it? Let's check X here. Renew it. Nothing's coming up right away. Usually in my feed, although Israel's been paying for every influencer to clog up my feed, basically. So everything that I like to watch, I don't watch. I'm sitting there muting everything all day long. Who's this person? Who is this person? Mute, and they come back. They keep on getting back. Anyway, so maybe, I don't know. Does anyone see that it's come out yet? Came in under. Dickie Tweedle came in under. So I find that hard to believe. Came in under. And we're seeing this. So this is good. So I would like to see a couple red candles moving into a bullish announcement, because this is, what the market does. It like pulls back a bit. Make sure you like